Welcome back to Rare Elvis Photos. Let's read some more comments from the Priscilla video from last week. Yumiko, 22Nana90 says, Priscilla concerns you really loved Elvis. Difficult to believe all the people around him, like vultures, almost devoured the prey, and each one to the aid of his own interest, pulled the maximum and a shame. So I get what you're saying there, and that it's very sad that the people around Elvis were vultures. Janice, very good comment. And Janet Watson, 7966 says she played Elvis. That's definitely a prevailing opinion of Elvis fans. All right, so at Peter Abbott, 3156, if I love someone and I wanted to protect them, if anything, I would say that I was older than I was, not younger. Food for thought. Best of health to all Elvis fans. Yeah, Priscilla's all about sensationalism, in my opinion. Seems like that's kind of the way she leans, and she tries to lean into conversations and in interviews with how she protects Elvis's legacy, but then sure doesn't seem like she's protecting him, especially not being accurate with ages and stuff. So at Touche97, wow, she has not aged well, has she? All that plastic surgery has been gross. Yeah, she just looks terrible. And she was a beautiful young lady, and she could have aged gracefully, but or maybe not gone on the cheap and tried to get some sort of plastic surgeon that didn't have a very good reputation, like she what happened. At Denise Smith 54.8, I knew she was dishonest, but this is so far off the rails than I ever imagined. She's conniving. So she's conniving and an evil person. Elvis, as far as I know, was innocent and was framed into marrying her. This actually makes me very angry and disgusted. Yeah, I mean, join the club. I mean, when I watch interviews like this, that she looks like she's trying to, I guess, add some shock value to it, maybe. So then it just makes me mad. So April Showers, agree that 16 as opposed to 18 is a simple question for Priscilla to answer. It can't be her memory at that age that she did the interview. So it must be a lie. Yeah, that's correct. That's the 80s for the interview. And then Maxie 19699 says she knows the dates. She makes herself younger on purpose. At Denise Smith. Okay, so yeah, we read that one. We're just going to go scroll through here for a second. I try to get some answers to some of the comments in here as well, because a lot of you will answer one another in the comment section as well. So we'll be seeing some of that here a little bit later on. And I appreciate everybody's opinion out there, even those that disagree with me. There's a place for that. I mean, it seems like we certainly have our opinion, and it's a very strong opinion. It's based upon really what Priscilla says and what Priscilla does, versus us just having an opinion with nothing to back it up. So Michelle, she definitely does not like the opinion here. You darned liar. You darned liar. I'm going to put my finger out. She did not take anyone to the comeback special, and Curry came up to her. She needs to sue you. Child Bride is full of lies, and you are making up so much you don't know any of the facts. I'm going with what Child Bride has in the book, and she didn't sue the author of Child Bride, did she? And I'm also really going with what Elvis fans are out there saying as well, as me being an Elvis fan being one of those, and what she says in her interviews. Elvis 78 ALE says, and you know everything, right? So everyone is a liar, and she is not. And you can easily see it in this interview when she hardly remembered when she moved to Graceland. Very good answer there to Michelle. Even if we don't agree with Michelle, and Michelle doesn't agree with us, that's a well thought out response back there. So I don't mean to belittle Michelline. I guess that's the name, Michelline. I definitely appreciate that she has her username on there, and it's not like user-7965973, and she's hiding behind that, or he's hiding behind that. But clearly a Priscilla Presley fan right there. They're clearly a Priscilla Presley fan for whatever reason. So come back on here and let me know, what you like about Priscilla, what she's brought to this world, and what her talent is besides going around the country and repeating all the same tired stuff Correction, Priscilla was not paid big bucks for this interview. This was Tomorrow show with Tom Snyder on NBC. It was paid scale at about $500 at the time. So $500 back in the 80s, early 80s would have been probably about $3,000, 2,500. Plus, she probably got paid for stuff around there, sponsors being on the show, clothes she was wearing, all that stuff. And somebody said $500 is a decent amount of money. And once again, I'm taking you at face value that she was paid $500. I don't know what she was paid, but she doesn't do anything for free. Priscilla does not do anything for free, and she certainly doesn't do anything for Elvis fans for free. She makes Elvis fans pay her. It's like handout. She puts her hand out and says, "Pay me for being around Elvis and being with Elvis." Okay, so at the user, there's a lot of letters and numbers there. 2R, DR, 2YC, 1DE, 9E, something like that. It says the gentleman was Curry Grant and had a sexual relationship with him. Even though he was older and was married, that's true. Priscilla has no problem breaking marriages up, that's for sure. Even at the age of 14, if that's true. Priscilla just tells lies. She never loved Elvis, only the image that Elvis created. Priscilla tells so many lies that she cannot remember what she states in one interview after another. That's why when you watch Priscilla in an interview, her story always changes. Yeah, it doesn't seem to stay the same. That's exactly what I've seen too. At Flora Braswell, I heard Elvis say in an interview that Priscilla and her parents only got to Germany a month or so before the army to come back home. I think Elvis could see right through Priscilla. I think it took him a while. I think that he didn't know any better than to think that she was the way she was back in Germany. I mean, according to Child Bride, she was a good little actress, and her parents prepped her good, and so did Curry. At Flora Braswell said, I heard Elvis say in an interview that Priscilla and her parents only got to Germany a month or so before he left the army to come back home. I think Elvis could see right through Priscilla, probably always felt that eventually she would ruin him. He handled her with ease. He tried to call it off several times. I think he felt sorry at one point and tried to make it work, even though he didn't intend for Priscilla to take it seriously. And with a heart there. Yeah, I think Elvis saw what he wanted to see in the beginning and what was given to him by Priscilla, the act, the facade. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out because Priscilla and Elvis weren't meant for each other. They weren't made for each other. Priscilla wanted to be famous. She wanted to be, she wanted to be special and important. And I don't think that being Elvis's girlfriend was important enough to her. So she had her affairs and she left him. And she found a way to be important to some people. Not to Elvis fans in general, but to Priscilla fans. Juliet Lassie, 100% correct. There's so many beautiful, prettier girls than her. If you really look at her, she's very short. She has long ears and a long torso. For her short body, makeup, clothing can change. Once look dramatically with the right things, yes, it can. Yeah, a lot of people think Priscilla's beautiful now, and they think that she was beautiful then. So, everybody has their opinion on that, but I think that there were certainly people that Elvis dated that were prettier, that were sweeter, that were more sincere and more genuine. And I would lean towards talking about that on my side, that, sweeter and real. That's the important part. If somebody is sweet, has a good heart, and if they're real, and they care for others, that's what I think that's what Elvis was drawn to. And I think that's what he thought Priscilla was in the beginning, because she listened. She listened so well, but according to Child Bride, she listened because that's what Curry told her to do. At any -BF9UD, that was an interview he did from Graceland. Yeah, he was blushing when talking about her, also trying to save face, as he knew that Anita would probably be listening to it also. He wouldn't have wanted to hurt Anita deliberately or dig himself into a hole. He'd already spoken to a British reporter 2 days before he left Germany and said things that he missed most about was Priscilla, and he also said, "Oops, I'll be in trouble." So he knew it would be in the papers, and Parker wouldn't be happy about it. The interviews online to read, he was smitten with Priscilla from first sight. Um, yeah, I mean, I'll have to take a look for that. And certainly, once again, when somebody acts a certain way, when somebody is acting like the dream person that you want to be with because they have inside information, um, that's not real, and you're gonna be smitten with that. You're gonna think, "Oh, this could be the person for me." Now, he obviously knew that she was not the person for him at that point, at that age, which may be why he was respectful enough to tell her, "Hey, have a life, date guys," because he surely was. She can't get away with saying that she didn't think or know Elvis was going to be with girls. At Crystal Hansen, 1483, thank you. I recently ran across an article that stated her and her parents arrived in Germany 3 months before Elvis was discharged from the army. I've been trying to find pictures with dates, articles, interviews with dates of Elvis's activities those last 1 or 3 months before returning to Graceland, Memphis. Everyone would be getting ready to be discharged. A lot of stuff to get done. And that's a good statement there. Priscilla didn't spend a lot of time with Elvis. Even, she spent some time with him on the weekends. And as far as I know, that's about all. Maybe on a Sunday night, she had to go to school the next morning. That being said, I could be wrong on that. And if you were a Priscilla fan and you know for sure, and there's sources besides Priscilla saying it, let me know. I just feel like all the stories I've ever heard is that when Elvis had leave or when he was, home on the weekends and could spend time with people, that he would. Okay, so at any BF9UD at Crystal Hansen, there's a picture online of Elvis and Priscilla 13th that states September 59. Also a picture of them Christmas 59. And they could have met then, but because of her schooling and duties, they didn't see each other 24/7. Also, he was away on the maneuvers for a while. So they probably saw a bit more of each other in the last 3 months. Still not every night, though. Elvis's friends, Rex and Johnny, both talk about her in being with him at Christmas time. And Johnny is Johnny Lang. And Rex, of course, Rex Mansfield. Elizabeth Stefaniak's husband that passed away. So Christmas time, obviously. But between Elvis Presley meeting Priscilla and leaving for the States, it just wasn't an every night thing. I mean, it could have been an every weekend thing, perhaps. And as this user stated, Elvis did have to go on maneuvers, and he had to get up early in the morning. Elvis couldn't keep his famous 1970s schedule while he was in the military. So he was bed early, and he got up early. All right, so at Crystal Hansen, 1483, thank you. Smiles, I found August 15th, 1959. Saturday, Captain Joseph Bayou went from Texas to Wiesbaden Air Force Base near Friedberg, Germany. Priscilla hung out at the Eagle Club, Wiesbaden, 1959, where she was supposed to have met Curry. Curry Grant. So at first, the Bayous. So while this scrolls up here, September 15th, 1959. So not even 6 months that she was actually in Germany. So she didn't spend a whole lot of time with Elvis. So at first, the Bayous stayed at the Hotel Helene, too expensive. After 3 months, they moved into a large apartment in a vintage building that was constructed before World War I. So after 3 months, that could be approximately December 15th, if that's 3 months. Now, I'm not sure where the source is from. I'm just reading what Crystal Hansen, 1483, is putting here. The building operated as a brothel because of scarcity of housing. And then what was the name and address of that large apartment? So, there's some sleuthing going on here. And I appreciate the sleuthing that's going on. Elvis was in the Army in Bad Nauheim, Germany. Elvis did rent a couple of hotels and apartments for himself and family members before his return back to the States. I believe that's what you said. Before he rented a whole house for himself and family. But that was prior. All of those houses that were rented and hotels, that was way prior to Priscilla. But yes, thank you. She also says Elvis did return March 1960. Boyuz Air Force Base was in Wiesbaden, and Elvis's army base and where he lived was in Bad Neuheim, and that's a 45-minute drive. So we're gonna close out this video here at that point, and we will get back into it a little bit later on. Thank you for the comments that I've read these last 15 minutes. There is 5 ways to get between those bases. Train, 1 hour and 28 minutes. Drive, 38 minutes, which we know that Curry Grant drove Priscilla for the majority of the times until Lamar took over, and then Elvis maybe once or twice did that. Bus, 2 hours, 39 minutes. Taxi, 38 minutes. So a well thought out comment. I definitely appreciate you. TCB, TLC, till next time. Please leave your comments, and I will get to responding to them as I can, mostly through video here. And I greatly appreciate each one of you. I hope all of you is healthy and well. And thank you for protecting Elvis's legacy. This is Rare Elvis Photos on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Please like, please subscribe, please share these videos on your Facebook, on other Elvis Facebook sites. I see a lot of being shared out there. I see Joanna Black sharing all the time. And I will definitely give you shouts when I see a lot of sharing. I also see Lorraine Roberts sharing a lot of videos on Facebook on these different sites. So real quick before I close it, I'm going to finish this comment here since she's done so well to write such a long comment. She says, I didn't think Air Force and Army personnel mixed. I have had Army friends and shirt-tail relatives stationed in Germany. When I wrote to them, they never said that there was also Air Force personnel also stationed there. What's been bugging me all these years, I thought it was a misprint that the Boyos were also Army, not Air Force. Thank you so much for your info. The articles I just read stated Elvis had a chauffeur or took taxis until he bought several vehicles and drove around himself. I would think a 45-minute base drive from one base to another is a long time. And that's true. It is a long time. That's why Curry Grant, he worked at the club there, which was a club for all members of our armed services, drove Priscilla back and forth. And according to the child bride, convinced her to give herself to him several times, and in order for Curry to coach her on what Elvis would have liked as in a girl, not would have liked, in that way, in the biblical sense. It was more she wanted to know what he liked, what kind of girl would he like, and Curry took advantage of the situation. He was definitely a creep. So I would think a 45-minute drive from one base to another base is a long distance and a sacrifice. An Army and Air Force personnel, single with a family, meager budgets. One cousin I have was stationed on an Army base in Germany and lived in the barracks. But anyways, Elvis had a lot of money, so there was no consideration there. And he probably took care of Curry Grant and gave him gas money and probably money for his time to do things like that once he made that introduction of Priscilla. It wasn't anything that Elvis knew Priscilla was coming. Curry had, he had, according to Child Bride, taken advantage of Priscilla several times. And at that point in time, Priscilla didn't want to do it again unless she met Elvis. And then she became enamored by Elvis. And Elvis, according to her, became, and other people around, became enamored by her. She was a great listener. She was a pretty little girl. And I think she said she was 16 at the time, or Curry said it. So, and that doesn't make a gigantic, huge difference. I know that there's opinions on that, and 16 is still young, and 14 is even super younger. Back in those days, it wasn't quite the big deal it is now, but it still was, it wasn't something that Elvis was trying to publicize. And he certainly didn't send for her to move to Graceland until she was nearly 18. Somebody said here at Lily D, looks like it says, 2246, says she was 14, but had the maturity of a teenager who traveled a lot due to her dad's military career. Using tips at the beginning of the relationship as manipulation. It's very true. It's just not a true start to a relationship. And all of her friends in the States, in Texas, and in other places they were stationed, had said that Priscilla was a fast girl, that she took off with boys in cars all the time, that smoked and drank and disappeared for hours at a time with 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds. So that's their witness statements.
That's not me. That's not my personal information. I'm just sharing what's in Childbred. All right, TCB TLC. Till next time. I appreciate y'all, and we're done.